I've covered many of Zelda's villains on this channel. In fact, at this point I think I've covered just about all of them. But there's one villain in particular I'd like to focus on today. While I have talked about this character before, I want to take the time to go deeper into their story and lore, as well as some theories surrounding them. He first appeared in the Minish Cap, at least in terms of timeline placement. So join me today as we explore one of Zelda's most powerful sorcerers, the Wind Mage, Vaati. In the ancient days of the surface, the land of Hyrule was ravaged by King Demise. Thanks to the goddess Hylia and her chosen knight, the rebellion was eventually quelled, and peace was restored. That peace didn't last long, however, as the land was once again overrun by monstrous forces. One hero rose to stand against this new evil, but he was not alone. When all hope seemed lost, a race known as the Minish bestowed upon him the Light Force and the Picori Blade. With this newfound power, he drove back the darkness and sealed the monsters plaguing Hyrule within the bound chest, with the Picori Blade acting as its seal. This warrior became known as the Hero of Men, cementing his place as one of the great heroes of the land. Exactly what happened in that ancient battle was actually unknown to the public. Only the royal family knew the full truth, and they kept it concealed to protect the kingdom. The people believed the monsters had been driven away, but as we know, they were sealed instead. The Light Force itself was hidden within the royal family's bloodline, passed down through each princess. It's easy to understand why such power had to remain a secret. As for the Minish, they're a race of small, mouse-like beings who hail from the Minish realm, a world connected to Hyrule through the Minish Door in the Elemental Sanctuary. A door that opens only once every 100 years. It was through this portal that one particular Minish ventured into Hyrule, searching for the Light Force. Ezlo was a great sage among the Minish, renowned for his brilliant creations and remarkable skill. He worked closely with his apprentice, and together they crafted the Mage's Cap, a magical hat said to grant the wishes of whoever wore it. But rather than follow in his master's footsteps, the apprentice had other ideas. He was oddly fascinated by the evil within the hearts of humans, and he craved power. Seizing his opportunity, he stole the hat, a gift that was meant for the Hylians, and placed it upon his own head. When Ezlo tried to stop him, the apprentice transformed his master into a hat and reshaped himself into a Hylian, gaining the form and abilities of a powerful sorcerer. After learning of the ancient legends surrounding the Light Force, a power said to grant unimaginable strength, he fled through the Minish Door into Hyrule in search of it, leaving his helpless master behind. He even explained his plans before escaping, which, in hindsight, wasn't exactly the smartest move, but such is a villain's hubris, I suppose. Along with the opening of the Minish Door, every 100 years, Hyrule holds a grand festival to commemorate the coming of the Minish. As part of the celebration, a sword fighting tournament is held, and the winner earns the honor of touching the legendary Picori Blade itself, still embedded in the bound chest that it seals. Believing the Light Force to be contained within that chest, Vaati entered the tournament, seeing it as the fastest way to reach the power he sought. When he won and approached the chest, he shattered the Picori Blade, breaking the seal and releasing the monsters imprisoned within. He then turned Princess Zelda to stone, having sensed a mysterious power within her, and not wanting her to interfere with his plans. Of course, the chest contained no Light Force at all. To find its true location, Vaati impersonated King Daltus and ordered the Knights of Hyrule to search for it. He soon learned the Light Force's whereabouts would be revealed once the Picori Blade was repaired and infused with the four elements, transforming it into the Four Sword. Link, already on a quest to save Zelda from her petrification, was allowed to continue his journey. Eventually, he managed to unlock a hidden chamber within the Elemental Sanctuary. There, a series of stained glass murals revealed the truth. The Light Force resided within Princess Zelda herself. Vaati learned this as well. He knocked out the hero, kidnapped the princess, and seized control of Hyrule Castle itself, turning it into a stronghold. When Link finally confronted him, the battle was long and grueling. with Vaati transforming repeatedly and unleashing more and more of his dark magic. Despite this, the hero ultimately triumphed. Peace was restored. Ezlo returned to his true form and went back to the Minish realm, and Vaati was sealed away within the Four Sword. Decades passed, and the story of Vaati and the Minish faded into legend. Princess Zelda was entrusted with safeguarding the shrine of the Four Sword, and the blade itself. One day, she sensed something strange stirring within the shrine. Zelda possessed a mysterious ability to sense the approach of evil forces. Could this be tied to the Light Force? Either way, Zelda and a trusted boy named Link went to investigate. While there, Zelda was kidnapped by Vaati, whose seal had weakened just enough for him to escape. From the way he speaks and from his reasons for taking Zelda, it's clear that Vaati has lost much of his mind and sense of self. He's still compelled to abduct the princess, but now he seeks her as a bride. He dimly remembers his former motives, but only fragments of that remain. Following the instructions of the fairies, Link draws the Four Sword, splitting himself into 4 copies, each representing a different aspect of the blade's elemental power. He's tasked with seeking out the Great Fairies, who can grant him the strength needed to confront Vaati in the Palace of Winds. Eventually, as before, Link defeats him, rescues Zelda, and seals the sorcerer inside the Four Sword once again. Now we jump far into the future, past the events of Twilight Princess, to the final game in the Four Swords trilogy. Once again, Vaati's seal has begun to weaken. This time, however, Zelda calls not only for Link, but also for 6 maidens who are tasked with protecting the sanctuary. Together, they use their power to open a portal to the shrine. But before they can enter, a shadowy figure resembling Link leaps out and traps the maidens in darkness. Link gives chase and once again draws the Four Sword. As before, the blade splits him into 4 identical heroes, but immediately after they emerge, Vaati conjures a massive tornado that scatters the 4 Links across the land. The key difference between this game and the previous entries is Vaati's role. In Four Swords Adventures, he is used more like a pawn. He isn't the true mastermind this time. Remember that shadowy Link who freed him, the one we just talked about? Eventually, after defeating Vaati in the Palace of Winds, Link learns the truth. It was Ganon who orchestrated everything, including the creation of that Dark Link and the unsealing of Vaati. In this timeline, Vaati appears to be destroyed for good, with Ganon becoming the one sealed away in the Four Sword. So that's the story of Vaati. Interestingly, he appears in the series before Ganon, since the Minish Cap takes place earlier in the timeline than Ocarina of Time. Speaking of Ganon, and Demise by extension, it's unclear whether Vaati was ever part of the demon tribe. Some theorize he could have been a demon reincarnated as a Minish, but personally I think his connection is more indirect. Ganondorf is an incarnation of Demise's hatred, part of the curse Demise cast on the goddess and the hero. The curse itself could function like a beacon, drawing malevolent beings, demon or otherwise, towards Zelda and Link throughout the ages. Not every villain needs to be a literal demon tribe member to be influenced by that curse. Rather, it may draw in corrupted forces regardless of who or what they are. So, is Vaati connected to Demise? Maybe not directly, but he could still be caught in the wake of that curse. Vaati's story follows the corrupted innocence archetype. He begins life as a simple Minish, a race associated with kindness, gift-giving, and innocence, only to become corrupted after developing a fascination with the evil within humans' hearts. It's a fairly common archetype in fiction, but within Zelda's roster of villains, it makes him stand out a bit. Many villains in the series are born corrupt, driven by revenge or convicted their ends justify the means, but him? He easily could have lived a peaceful life as Ezlo's apprentice, yet he chose to seek power and status beyond his place. Unfortunately for him, the height he chased was an inverted one. He's known as the Wind Mage and typically uses wind magic, which is why his corrupted form resembles that orb-like bat creature. His name actually comes from Vata, a Sanskrit word for air, and from Vayu, the Hindu god of wind. Vaati's defining flaw is his desire to rise above his station, not through discipline or heroism like Link, but through raw power. This mimics the Greek myth of Icarus. Both were young or naive, both tried to transcend their limits, and both fell because of their ambition. They were each burned by the very thing they chased. In Vaati's case, his ego eventually overtook his identity, which is why in later games, he almost seems mindless, like he's lost any real sense of self. This is shown visually as well. His first form in the Minish cap still looks mostly human, even if different from his Minish appearance. In his reborn form, he becomes taller and unnaturally slender, almost uncanny, kinda weird. A human shape stretched too far. And then there's the unsettling red eye on his torso. His next form is literally called Transfigured. He's moved beyond the limits of humanity entirely, and taken on a fully corrupted visage. His fall is told not only through narrative, but through his ever-warping appearance. His one-eyed form could represent the all-seeing eye. It's a symbol often associated with forbidden wisdom, and the desire to perceive what mortals were never meant to know. That fits pretty well for Vaati, both his obsession with the light force and his curiosity about the darkness within human hearts stem from a hunger for knowledge he shouldn't possess. The red color of the eye speaks for itself. Power, corruption, ego. They're all central themes of his fall. There's also the whole Eye of the Storm metaphor. He's a wind sorcerer, and his dark, void-like body could be interpreted as a kind of cyclone, of course with his single eye as its center. Beyond that, his form can also be tied to the concept of the evil eye. In many European fairy tales, fairies who fall from grace are said to gain an evil eye as a mark of their corrupted nature, a symbol of lost purity, betrayal of their origins, and transformation into something sinister. Since the Minish themselves are kinda fairy-like beings, the parallel is actually surprisingly fitting. If we add color theory to all of this, purple symbolizes royalty, magic, ambition, ego, vanity, shadow, duality, the blending of dark and light. Every one of those things ties directly into his character arc as well. The place where he's sealed also reinforces his story visually. Its murals seem almost designed to silently retell the events surrounding him. You can see the four elements leading toward the seal, and on the back mural, Vaati is depicted with the seal binding him, a radiant light representing either the goddess or the four heroes, and a symbolic four-sword, shown as four individual blades. The entire chamber is a quiet retelling of his rise and fall. Vaati's story is ultimately about reaching for knowledge we were never meant to have. Aslo tried to guide him, teaching him the safe and disciplined way to use magic, but Vaati saw those limits as shackles. He pushed beyond the boundaries set for him, and in doing so, he lost himself. It resembles one of the oldest stories ever told, of a certain serpent tempting humanity with forbidden knowledge, convincing them to grasp for something beyond their rightful place. Vaati's tale is one of pride and ego, a cautionary example of what happens when ambition eclipses humility, when we reach for power or wisdom beyond our limits and allow our vanity to consume us. And as always, corruption follows. Now on to some theories. One of the more well-known ones involving Vaati is the Tetraforce theory. I won't retread too much old ground here. I already made an entire video about the Tetraforce, so I'll link that at the end of this video if you want a deeper dive into it. By now, you've probably noticed the odd mark Vaati has beneath his eye, and the strange emphasis the game places on his whole eye motif overall. From his final form to even his Hylian form, covering his one eye, it's as though the game is making sure he always only has one visible. It's very reminiscent of the Shikai symbol, which naturally raises the question, could Vaati be connected to the Shikai in some way? Both Vaati and the Shikai are described as walkers in shadow, and his manipulative, power-hungry tendencies mirror the darker side of that tribe. Even the Shadow Temple in Ocarina of Time, whose medallion is purple, by the way, seems like it could be aligned with him, since the Shadow Temple also has ties to the Sheikah. The biggest issue with the theory, though, is Vaati's clear canon backstory. We know he's a Minish. We see it directly in the Minish cap, and nothing in the game suggests any Sheikah heritage or training, so it's very possible the similarities are purely coincidental. It could even simply tie back into all the symbolism we talked about earlier. As for the mark itself, maybe it existed in his Minish form and we just couldn't see it. A scar from an accident while studying under Aslo. Next is a smaller, more symbolic theory. Both the earth element and Vaati share the same purple coloration. Could this be intentional? Maybe it represents the idea that Vaati began grounded, humble, small, innocent like the Minish, but became corrupted when his ambitions spiraled out of control. I don't really think this was deliberate on the developer's part. It's kind of a big stretch, but it's interesting enough to mention, I guess. Lastly, there's a theory that Vaati could be connected to Death-Eye from Link's Awakening. I mean, they do look similar, but aside from that visual resemblance, there's really nothing linking the two. No shared lore, no themes, just kind of a surface-level similarity. Still fun to point out, though. Maybe there is something there. And that's my video on Vaati. I really hope they bring him back in a future game. We've actually never seen him in 3D, so honestly, that alone would be a pretty great reason to revive him. Going off topic for just a moment, though, Christmas is right around the corner, and starting this year, I want to give back a bit during the season. I'm not affiliated with any charity, and I actually wanted to set this up as an official fundraiser video, but I can't use YouTube's built-in system since I guess I'm just not cool enough yet. So instead, I'll be leaving a link in the description below. This year I want to highlight NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Mental health is important to me, and supporting people who struggle with it is something that really matters. NAMI provides free support groups, education programs, and resources for individuals and families dealing with mental health challenges. If you're able to donate even a little, they can genuinely help someone out there who's struggling. And if you can't donate, sharing the message or checking out the resources still means a lot. Now that I think about it, this video doesn't really match the Christmas feel, does it? There are some symbolic references to Christianity, and there's certainly a lesson to be learned, but we could do more than that. You know what, Vaati? As good as you look, I love the edgelord look, but it doesn't really work for the festive season. It doesn't work for Christmas. So we're going to have to fix that a little bit. Don't worry, I'm an expert. Just go ahead and let's fix up that hat a little bit. Switch to the bucket. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, look at that. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Look at that. You know what? Already feeling it. Already feeling it. This is going to be great. Don't worry. Let's go ahead and let's fix up that cape a little bit. Ah, dude. Come on now. See? Magnifique. Beautiful. Not enough, though. Not enough, I'll be honest. I feel like we could do more here. Let's make it a little bigger. Now, I don't know why it's out of the border. There we go. Beautiful. How do I move him? Or not? It's been fixed. He's kind of a giant. He's kind of a giant. It's okay. It's like we'll make it work. We could fix up that hat a little bit, though. I feel like there's something missing. You see, now we could just take this hat, we could just take it and copy and paste, but why would you work smarter when you can work harder? Can I get true in chat? True? Unfortunately, it seems like we're gonna have to sacrifice a little bit of the fuzz. But that's okay. Sacrifices must be made. Look at that. Now tell me that's not beautiful. Tell me that isn't just perfect. It kind of sucks to have him alone out here, though, so, Ganondorf PNG. There we go. He looks a little weird. He looks a little odd. He's a bit misshapen. There we go. There we go. Perfect. And you know what? You know what? Look at this. Look at this. He even brought a present. What a guy. You'll love to see it. I still feel like there's more that we can do, though. We can do more than this. Now, instead of Santa... Let's, there we go. Look at that. Gotta make him a little wide. Gotta make him a little wide so that it works. Unfortunately, our good friend Ganondorf's present disappeared, so we had to fix that real quick. Okay, let's get a little text bubble here. Now, you know what'll score me some epic gamer Reddit gold? You know what? Hold on. Yes, dude. Yes. Now, you may not know what I just typed in. In fact, I only partially know what I just typed in. But, how do I make that smaller? There we go, baby. Now we've got it in Hylian. There we go. Now, if this just isn't a festive Hyrule celebration, I don't know what is. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to donate. Merry Christmas, and God bless.